Good morning. This is Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. It is Taco Tuesday. If you can, go out and support your favorite taco truck. And we were right on target, pretty close to the highs when we put on the shorts on Bitcoin or Bitcoin position, B, BX, BitX. So it continues to sell off. The market was not pleased with the employment data that came in today. So the market is selling off as well. So let us go over to our word of the day. Our word of the day is retroussé. Retroussé, turned up at the tip of their nose in a attractive way. I was often teased for my retroussé nose as a child, but now I love the upturned shape. So that is our word of the day. We go over to our S&P 500 heat map. All the big cap tech is down. Well, not all, but most of it. Semiconductors as well. It seems like China is looking elsewhere for the type of chips that they need. So Microsoft is down, Oracle, Adobe, Palantir, Synopsys, Tesla is down over 3%. Got a bounce in the energy area and utilities. And industrials seem to be doing all right as well. So that is where all the action is. Let's go over to our charts. Our ETFs of the day are still in China, FXI, and KWEB. And FUTU, just every day is a stock of the day. It is in the profit zone right now. Our position is up for 20%. So that is where all the action is. Don't really have a IPO of the day, although we could take a look at one. This is, I believe, in Hong Kong. It's up 8.52%. It's kind of working on an IPO base. So this is kind of where it is trading at right now. We did take a small position there. So that is the story with that one. Let's go over to our dollar index. Dollar index is popping up quite a bit. That is why the market is down. When the dollar is weak, the market's going to sell off. So that is the story there. Let us go over to steel. Actually, Steel Dynamics is popping up. That wasn't what I was looking for, but just take a look at copper. Arrow copper is selling off. It's kind of filling the gap here. This gap down, it is filling the gap. Silver pulling back to its 10-day moving average. Gold is actually bouncing. Pretty interesting. Got a gap up here on gold. Look at uranium. Uranium's pretty steady. Denison Mines, uranium miner. Try to get up to its 200-day, pull back a little bit. Go to the bond yields. They are off 2.45%. Bounced up yesterday and a big sell-off today. Take a look at our bonds. Tried to bounce up to the 20-day moving average and sold off. Their 20-year yield is falling 1.78%. The VIX is going to be up today. Big move in the VIX, up 21%. Got up to 2040. I believe in the 28 area is where we have our target. S&P selling off. RSP, not as bad as the S&P that has all the big cap tech weighting. NASDAQ is going to be worse than the S&P. Was actually off 2.35% earlier, so it is trying to recover a little bit. Pull back to its 20-day moving average. Equal weight is down 1.67%. IWM is off 1.72, pretty much equal to the equal weight in the NASDAQ. And the Dow Jones is trading the best. It's a pretty tight area. Look at our industrial subsector of the S&P is actually pretty flat to up today. Look at Caterpillar, Deere. Deere has got a nice bounce off the 10-day moving average. Energy. Look at big move in energy. Take a look at oil pricing. Pretty interesting oil pricing moving up pretty strong. Must be due to the fear of Iran shooting rockets into Israel. So that area of the world is getting pretty dicey, to say the least. So that is kind of there. Home builders, I believe they're getting a bounce today. MHO, working on kind of seeing if it can get a breakout. Real estate, pulling back here. Before we move on to our news of the day, just look at utilities. They're moving up. XLB. Pulling back to the 10-day and mining and metals. So insurance kind of sold off and got a bounce. The regional banks are selling off. So that is the story there. Let us move on to take a look at this is where you want to put your money if you think there's going to be a hard landing. This only goes up. When the market goes up the steps. Beats index investing by about 5% per year. Currently, there's bonuses of 10% or more that you could get on your money in retirement. If you'd like to learn more, please send a comment and we'll get back to you. On to our news of the day. Ford upgraded to buy from neutral at Goldman Sachs and raised the price target to $13, saying there is margin opportunity driven by the company's more profitable commercial business. So that is the story with Ford. McCormick, quarter three adjusted EPS 83 cents versus 67 cents. Revenues 1.68 billion, tops consensus of 1.67 billion. Raises full year 24 adjusted EPS to $2.85 to $2.90. And McCormick is up 0.7%. Pepsi is in advanced talks to buy tortilla chip maker Siete Foods for $1 billion, the Wall Street Journal reported, citing people familiar with the matter. So that is up 0.26%. In casinos, Wynn is moving forward. I think this might be a Chinese trade with Macau. I'm not sure why. MGM is down 2%. Las Vegas Sands, they're moving up. And Melco is moving up as well. So Macau's gaming revenue rose 15.5 year over year in September as casinos gear up for one of China's biggest holidays. Gaming revenue reached 17.25 billion takas or $2.2 billion. On to U.S. listed shares of Chinese EVs rise after monthly delivery data. Xpeng is up 3.2% today. Delivery set a new monthly record of 21,352 units, up 39% year over year and 52% month over month. NIO reports 21,181 vehicle deliveries, up 35.4%. And so NIO is moving up 2.4% today. Onto energy, industrials, materials. QD Brands quarter four adjusted EPS $4.30 versus consensus $4.28. I typed in the wrong symbol. And we've got a gap up, and they're up 9% near their high for the day. Boeing weighs raising at least $10 billion selling stock. Bloomberg reported as the plane maker is on the cusp of seeing credit rating cut to junk. So they're up 0.68% today. General Dynamics downgraded to equal weight from overweighted Wells Fargo, and they're bouncing off their 50-day moving average up 1% actually. Zim, integrated shipping shares fall after dock workers walked out on every major port in the U.S. East and Gulf Coast, marking the beginning of the strike. A gap down, and they're trying to fight back to get to the pivot zone of 5.42%. And Chicago corn futures declined after reaching a 3-month high in the previous session. If anything comes up with corn, it is actually up nearly 1% today. On to financials. Acadia Realty Growth or Realty Trust price upsized 5 million share stock offering at $23.25, and it's down 1.32%. BGCP guess this is not going to come up here. Updates his quarter three outlook, saying they are now expected to be around high end of his previously stated outlook ranges for revenue and pre-tax adjusted earnings for quarter three 2024. Maybe it'll come up under this symbol. Okay, here we go. Stock is up 4.9%. This is a penny stock trying to become raise out of its penny stock status, I guess you would call it. CVS Health is exploring options, including a breakup. As we continued with this, was news yesterday. Take a look at where it is currently trading. Filled the gap as it sold off today, off 3%. May include a breakup to separate retail and insurance units. IGM Biosciences shares fell after its chief executive scientific and medical officer stepped down, and amid a pivot to exclusivity or autoimmunity. So big sell-off. It did bounce off its 50-day moving average, still off nearly 17% today. And finally, Shattuck Labs announced a strategic pipeline prioritization to include the discontinuation of its clinical program, SL-172154. Company will turn its focus to SL-325, this DR3 antagonist antibody plans clinical development in patients with IBD, where it blocks antibodies have demonstrated competing monotherapy efficacy. So that is the story there. And there is a little bit of story. Apple is down because they're not making assembling as many Apple 16 phones. So that's kind of the story there. Let us go, what's up 10% with 20% increase in volume. Actually, 200% increase in volume. This is out of China. KE Holdings, provider of online and offline platform for housing transactions and services. They try to boost home buying in China. And Dine Brands Global, Applebee's Restaurants, they gap up 11.46%. And then got United Natural Foods. Their earnings came out. Their earnings are up 104%. 1 cent profit. Earnings surprise of 112.24%. Their stock is up 22% on the day. So that is looking at that. We got continuous cup. So it looked like it was going to be a handle. It pulled down lower. Didn't quite undercut the previous base. Came into the pivot, pulled back down to 50-day, and now it is moved up quite a bit here. So we're going to just take a look at, we did get out a lower today. It pulled back 4.25%. Hit our stop. Let's pull up our positions. BidX kind of sells off here, 5.47%. Looks like it's kind of filled this gap here. Right now, we'll see if it gets a little bit of a bounce. EMSC selling off. Try to move up here, pull back to the 50-day moving average. ALAB. Pulls back to the 10-day moving average. We kind of figured on this big move that there would be a pullback, maybe a handle. We need to watch that. Video pulls back to 116. Pulls back to its 50-day moving average. So we got this deep pullback to 90 and this pullback to 100. So it's not quite as deep as this. And we'll just see if this can hold the 50-day moving average. Kava. When it was up here, we did sell the $130 calls. And those are producing some good money right now. We'll just see if it holds at the 20-day moving average. ELF is pulling back much more than we had anticipated. Pull back to 105. It is getting a little bit of a bounce here. So we'll just see where that goes. Dave pulls back to the 20-day moving average off 2% today. VRT pulling back to the 10-day. Natera, we did short the $130 option right around here, pulling back to the 20-day. GH selling off again today, so it didn't hold this tight area. We'll just see if it can hold this lower area that it's at right now. And if not, we will close out that option spread. Oracle pulling back to the 10-day after getting up to 170 yesterday. See, possibility it could pull back a little more, get back close to the 20-day. We'll just keep our eyes on that one. This is one that we put an option on. Pulling back to the 10-day right here. Not doing too bad, all things considered. Carpenter pulled back to the 10-day and now is bounced. It's off 0.73% today. Reddit, we thought on this big move up here would produce a handle. See how deep that handle gets if it pulls back to the 20-day. Arch Capital actually bounces off the 20-day today, up nearly 1.5%. So it's continuing to try to ride right along this 10-day moving average. So if you bought right here, you're doing really kind of pretty. And FUTU, this continues to shine. This is a brokerage unit in China. Figured as people are continuing to trade equities over there, this should continue to do well. Its all-time high was over here. I think that was right around 200, 204.25. And we will continue to monitor this one. It's a recent IPO in Hong Kong, digital advertising, and it is up 8.2% today. So that is our report for today. Go out there and support your favorite taco truck or taco stand on Taco Tuesday. Hopefully the market doesn't get too inverted here. We'll keep you up to date on it. If you have any goals in the financial markets, feel free to reach out to us and we will help you in any way we can. In the meantime, everybody have a great day. Go out there and continue to work on your goals and your activity to support them. This has been Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. And it is your responsibility to do your own due diligence. So go out there and choose wisely.